Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Awakening Avenue. Imagine you are sitting outside on a beautiful, warm afternoon. The sky is bright blue. You can feel the gentle heat of the sun on your skin. Birds are singing, and the world feels perfectly normal. But then, in a single fraction of a second, the sun simply vanishes. It doesn't explode. It doesn't burn out over millions of years. It just disappears. Gone. What would happen next? Would we know immediately? Would the earth instantly freeze? Or would we have time to say goodbye to the light? Today, we are going to take a journey into the ultimate darkness. We will travel through the first 8 minutes, the first 24 hours, the first year, and beyond, to see what would happen to our beautiful blue planet if the sun suddenly ceased to exist. So, find a comfortable place, relax your mind, and let's explore this fascinating story together. This is English Listening Practice, brought to you by Awakening Avenue. Let's begin. If the sun disappeared right now, you wouldn't know it immediately. In fact, for 8 minutes and 20 seconds, everything on Earth would continue exactly as it always has. But why? Why wouldn't we notice the darkness right away? The answer lies in the speed of light. Light is incredibly fast, traveling at about 300,000 kilometers per second. But the sun is very, very far away, about 150 million kilometers from Earth. Because of this massive distance, it takes light 8 minutes and 20 seconds to travel from the sun's surface to our eyes. This means that when you look at the sun, you are never seeing it as it is right now. You are seeing it as it was 8 minutes ago. You are always looking into the past. So, if the sun vanished, the light that was already on its way to Earth would continue to travel through space. For those 8 minutes and 20 seconds, the sky would still be blue. Plants would still be making food from the sunlight. People would still be walking in the park, completely unaware that the star that gives us life no longer exists. But it isn't just light that takes 8 minutes to reach us. Gravity travels at the exact same speed. Earth is constantly falling toward the sun, but because we are moving sideways so fast, we orbit it in a circle. If the sun disappeared, its gravitational pull wouldn't vanish instantly. For those final 8 minutes, Earth would continue to orbit a star that isn't there anymore. But then, the clock hits 8 minutes and 20 seconds, and the illusion ends. At exactly 8 minutes and 20 seconds, the final beam of light reaches Earth. And then, the sky simply turns off. There is no sunset. There is no gradual fading of colors. One moment it is daytime, and the next moment it is the darkest night you can possibly imagine. But something else strange happens. The moon disappears. You see, the moon does not produce its own light. It only shines because it reflects the light of the sun. Without the sun, the moon becomes completely invisible, swallowed by the darkness of space. However, the stars would become brighter than you have ever seen them. Without the sun's glare to wash them out, the Milky Way would stretch across the sky like a river of diamonds. Down on Earth, the immediate reaction would be pure confusion. In the part of the world facing the sun, billions of people would suddenly find themselves in total darkness. Streetlights would automatically turn on, cars would switch on their headlights. News channels would interrupt their broadcasts with breaking news. At first, people might think it is a massive, unprecedented solar eclipse, but astronomers looking through their telescopes would quickly realize the terrifying truth. The sun isn't blocked, it is simply gone. And then the panic would begin. But while humanity is panicking, the physical world is already beginning to change. Without the sun's heat, the temperature on Earth starts to drop, and it drops fast. Within the first few hours, the global temperature would begin a rapid and unstoppable decline. Normally, the Earth's atmosphere acts like a blanket, trapping the sun's heat and keeping our planet warm. But without a constant supply of new heat, that blanket starts to fail. Within just 24 hours, the global average temperature would drop from a comfortable 15 degrees Celsius to near freezing. Around 0 degrees. If you live in a tropical country, you might be used to hot, humid weather. But within a single day, snow would begin to fall in the deserts, in the rainforests, and on the beaches. But the cold is not the only problem. The sudden darkness and freezing temperatures would cause massive disruptions to human life. Plants, which rely on sunlight for photosynthesis, would begin to die. Small plants would wither in a matter of days. But what about the electricity? The world's power grids would be pushed to their absolute limits. Everyone would turn on their heaters and lights at the same time. Power plants that rely on solar energy would immediately shut down. Wind patterns, which are driven by the sun's heat, would begin to change, causing wind turbines to slow down. Within a few days, massive blackouts would sweep across the globe. The surface of the Earth is becoming a hostile place. But down in the deep oceans, something fascinating is happening. By the end of the first month, the surface of the world's oceans would freeze solid. But this ice is actually a miracle. Water is a very unique substance. When water freezes into ice, it becomes lighter than liquid water, so it floats. This layer of surface ice would act as a giant shield, insulating the deep ocean water below from the freezing vacuum of space. While the surface of the ocean is locked in ice, the deep water would remain liquid for hundreds of thousands of years. And down in that dark, deep water, life would continue. Most life on Earth depends on the sun. Plants need it, and animals eat the plants. But at the very bottom of the ocean, there are ecosystems that have never seen the sun. They survive around hydrothermal vents. These are cracks in the Earth's crust that shoot out boiling, mineral-rich water. The bacteria there use chemicals from the Earth's core, not sunlight, to create energy. So, even without the sun, the deep ocean creatures would survive. But what about the surface? What about humanity? As the first year passes, the surface of the Earth becomes completely uninhabitable. The temperature drops to -70 degrees Celsius and eventually -100 degrees. The great forests of the world are dead and frozen. The top layers of the soil are hard as rock, but humans are clever, and humans want to survive. To stay alive, humanity would have to move. We could no longer live in houses on the surface. We would have to move deep underground or to places where the Earth itself provides heat. The best place to survive would be Iceland. Iceland sits on top of intense geothermal activity. The heat from the Earth's core is very close to the surface there. Survivors could use this geothermal energy to grow food in underground greenhouses, using artificial lights powered by the Earth's heat. But life would be incredibly difficult. Society as we know it would end. There would be no internet, no global trade, and no airplanes. Humanity would be reduced to small, isolated communities living in the dark, huddled around the warmth of the Earth's core. And above them, something even stranger would happen to the sky. As the temperature drops to -200 degrees, the gases in our atmosphere would begin to change. The water vapor freezes and falls as snow. Then the carbon dioxide turns into dry ice and falls to the ground. Eventually, even the oxygen and nitrogen in the air would turn into a liquid and rain down onto the frozen surface. The Earth would literally lose its atmosphere. Millions of years after the sun disappears, Earth would still exist, but it would no longer be part of a solar system. Remember how I said gravity takes 8 minutes to stop affecting us? Once that gravitational pull was gone, Earth would stop traveling in a circle. Instead, it would fly off in a straight line at about 30 kilometers per second. Earth would become what astronomers call a rogue planet, a wandering world, floating alone through the endless dark of the Milky Way galaxy. It is a terrifying thought. a lonely, frozen rock drifting through the void. But my friends, this dark story has a very bright purpose. It reminds us of how incredibly fragile our situation is. We live on a tiny blue marble, perfectly positioned at the exact right distance from a burning ball of gas. The sun gives us light, heat, weather, food, and life itself. It asks for nothing in return. So, the next time you step outside and feel the warmth of the sun on your face, don't take it for granted. Look up at the sky, take a deep breath, and be grateful for the light. Because in this vast, cold universe, the sun is our greatest friend. Thank you for joining me on this journey today, here on Awakening Avenue. I hope this story helped you practice your English and gave you a new perspective on our beautiful world. If you enjoyed this story, please leave a like, share it with a friend, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a new journey. Tell me in the comments, if the sun disappeared, what is the one thing you would miss the most? Until next time, keep learning, keep wondering, and stay awakened. Goodbye, my friends.